Really? You guys want to get some coffee or something?
Can I get a cup of coffee? Black? Can't you see we talking? White?
Even little kids in Mexico drink coffee.
Well, I'm not a little kid in Mexico, okay?
That is the best coffee I've ever tasted.
A damn fine cup of coffee.
You want a cup of coffee?
No coffee.
Coffee drinker, huh?
Maybe we could grab some coffee?
Coffee, 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 coffee.
How you doing, fellas?
Oh, shit. Hi,
That's not decaf, is it?
Viennese cinnamon.
Good morning, everybody. It's been a chaotic morning because I slept in a little bit. So I'm running around like a chicken with its head off this morning trying to get some stuff done here before we go live, because there's a ton of information to assimilate and break down and then recollate and form into a proper sentence. All I have to say is yesterday, the private chat between Andre, Tom, Mikey Suttonbaum, Keith, and I was blowing up all day. I was sitting there and just kept hearing ba-bing, ba-bing, ba-bing. I had to mute my phone because it was just so much was going on. And unfucking believable, as Andrew Dice would say, unfucking believable. So, yeah, you know, this has been a crazy fucking week, starting with Michael DeLuca being, well, Pam Abdi's in there too, but the fact is it's Michael DeLuca is the guy that's going to be really running DC in the interim for Warner Discovery. But Alan Horn being brought in this week, all that shit, just August 1st was an incredible week for fans of DC. It's going to be amazing what happens here. So we've got I'm sorry. We've got a lot of stuff happening with Ezra Miller. Business Insider did a huge story. They have the headliner of Ezra Miller's unraveling. Friends concerned as the Flash actor travels the U.S. in body armor and faces claims of running a cult in Iceland with guns. And this cult is, I think it's almost like a cult of his own making, because I know he was involved with one cult. You know, I'm not going to say the name of the cult, the ones that use the hand symbols, whatever they are, the checkered patterns on record covers and shit. We've heard of a lot of celebrities and politicians that are involved in this cult. We won't say the name of the cult because I think it's very dangerous to talk about this cult. I really do. And these are some fucking dangerous people that are involved. And there's my partner in crime, Keith. But this is some huge news with this article over on Business Insider. This is just more proof of how, because people, you know, Martin comes to me this morning and says he saw a YouTube thing saying that Warner Brothers is doubling down on. We get a lot of wind on your microphone, Keith. It's basically doubling down on Ezra Miller, and then Wolvie brought it up this morning in the chat with his $5 super chat here. According to Hollywood Reporter, Walter Hamada nearly quit Warner Brothers over Batgirl cancellation, but it decided to stay until at least Black Adam. This is how stupid the Hollywood Reporter is. Oh my God, Jesus, man, these guys are fucking stupid. When that article came out that said that, and I think that was Deadline, as I recall, right? Deadline that put out that article that Zaslav was looking for a new head of DC. And Hamada was never mentioned anywhere in the article. All they talked about was Pam Abdi and Michael DeLuca and Zaslav. That was a clear fucking message. It was a clear message. And that these magazines and these fucking YouTube sites and these shill fucking cocksuckers all over the fucking place spreading false information that they're going to double down on Ezra Miller. Look, no, more is going to be coming out about Ezra Miller. And what's going on behind the scenes that we've heard, and I'm leaning this way, and I agree, because I said this before, that the only way of saving the Flash movie was to completely take Ezra out of it. That was the only way to safely save that film. And it looks like Zaslav has moved towards just going ahead back to his original decision of shelving it. I think there were a lot of voices that were saying, oh, maybe you shouldn't do that. I'm sure Hamada was like in his office yelling out, maybe not cancel that one.
Well,
Guys.
Let me also add in this. There's Renegade was talking on Midnight's Edge about this, and this is something that not a lot of people think about. It also is going to depend on what some of the advertisers that have already paid are going to want to do. If there's any company that also has a product tie-in to this movie that is holding off on it, if you completely shelve the movie, you're going to have to pay them back. And so that's the reason why you have two choices here. You either shelve the film or you find a way of saving the film by completely cutting out Ezra Miller and bringing in another actor to replace
Yeah, like I said,
Ezra
if
Miller.
they did that, that would be about another $100 million.
At least.
But it looks like what we're hearing is that he just wants to remake, and I think from ground up, the Flash movie. And
the entire thing was,
he went on an absolute shelving tirade this week because officially Supergirl is gone. Green Lantern is gone. That TV.
Well, the
series. Green
Lantern television series, yes.
That's what I just said. And then, of course, the Batgirl movie is gone.
Yes.
Everything is gone. And I got to tell you, Wolverine, I got to tell you, man, this is how far up their own ass Hollywood Reporter is to say that. That is just fucking ridiculous. Hamada's opinion on anything means nothing to Warner
It's
Brothers.
less than nothing at this point.
He is only in an office right now to fulfill a contract.
That's
and
right.
He's paid to do nothing. His point of view, nothing matters. Toby is still getting a paycheck too, but he does not have any power. They have been completely dethroned. The clown table is completely gone.
Yeah.
It has been obliterated and replaced by a whole new, better built table that right now currently only hold Pam Abdi and Michael DeLuca, with Alan Horn sitting at the table advising them, and Zaslav sitting at the head of the table with a fucking hammer and a sword, ready to smash and slash everything. You've never, not in our lifetime, we've never seen anything like this happen in a studio, not since we were kids. And I'm talking about like 60s. Did you see something like this massive happen in a studio?
Well,
I mean,
again,
when you look at this shit between Gulf Western and fucking Robert Evans, that's nothing, because there was a lot of friendship there, despite firings and stuff like that. There was a lot of bonds that took place in that, and they talk about that in the movie, the miniseries The Offer. But that's nothing compared to what just happened last week. Technically over the last 2 months.
And now the whole thing with HBO Max, which really isn't as big a deal as many people are making it out to be, because this was part of what was announced 4 months ago when everything started happening. Turns out that HBO and HBO Max have a lot of redundant stuff between them. There are a lot of positions and a lot of things that they're doing that's pretty much the exact same company run by two different groups of people. Yeah. So really, this is about getting rid of the redundant stuff. This isn't even really Zaslav going out and going, I'm chopping heads today. This is, you guys are wasting money, literally wasting money to pay more than one person to do the exact same job. And so they're just getting rid of all of the access stuff. Now, I feel bad that there are people losing their jobs, but again, they talked about this 4 months ago. So if as of right now you're surprised, you haven't been paying attention. And that's the other thing about Zaslav. He's told people what he's doing. You know, you ever see those action films where the hero will tell you exactly what he's about to do to you before he does it?
Yeah, in fact, he gives you the order in which he's going to do it. And that's Zaslav. Yeah, there's no question about it. He is a berserker. He is the scariest gunslinger, you know. But hey, I want to thank Wolverine for his $5 super chat. Absolutely, you have a right to laugh at that. That is the Hollywood Reporter looking fucking stupid in public. And for you, sir, I give you this great moment from The Thing, where all of us kind of have the same reaction to Hollywood Reporter for saying this.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
Well, there's one more thing that also needs to be understood about the whole Batgirl thing. Valiant Renegade did also intimate this, that doing what they did to Batgirl, they may be able to basically have this slide right off the books, that financially it may not be that big a deal. So if that's the case, it made that decision easier. And again, for all those people out there that are lamenting Batgirl and Supergirl, here's what you really have to understand. Those projects were made moot by what's going on with the Flash. All three of those projects were made to undo the Snyderverse. That was the main purpose between those things. If you are not doing that, that automatically makes Batgirl and Supergirl completely moot. To even watch these films makes it not good. If in the first Star Wars movie that George Lucas put out in 1977, if Darth Vader basically kills Luke Skywalker, that undoes The Empire Strikes Back, right? That changes the course of that story. Well, that's basically what you have. So really, I feel bad for the people that worked on all those and people that were planning to make those, but those were badly conceived stories. And the very fact that they're having so many problems with the Flash, again, because it was badly conceived, that it would be better ultimately, in my opinion, to just write a whole new movie. And this is when you really look at it, aside from Michael Keaton, would anybody really, really miss this film if they completely rewrote it? I mean, there's nothing really holding it together outside of Michael Keaton. And that's the thing. That's the real reason why Hamada and everyone else put Keaton in there. Keaton really was your bait for a massive switch. And so if they still have a contract with Keaton, I'm agreeing with some of the stuff that I heard on Midnight's Edge yesterday, which is some are saying, just go ahead and make the Batman Beyond movie. If you really want to see Keaton, because Keaton really doesn't like getting dressed up in the costume.
Yeah,
so
and
everybody
in the process,
wins.
just so everybody knows, he really was the only bait to see this stuff.
Yes.
Was bringing Keaton back. And Keaton, of course, was super pissed because we brought it up. I wasn't allowed to say his name of who is also pissed behind the scenes when Ezra got arrested that second time, that Keaton was pissed.
Of
And
course.
he was raging over the fact that he was going to, he was promised something, the revival of his Batman. And he was really looking forward to it. And now, currently, with the way things are going, it's kind of dead.
And of course, if you're Keaton,
that come back.
If you're Keaton, again, all these people trying to suggest that Keaton is mad at Zaslav and everything. Keaton is not mad at anybody currently running anything at Warner Brothers
He's pissed
Discovery.
At Miller for fucking everything up.
He's pissed at Miller. He's pissed at Hamada. He's pissed at all the people who lured him back into this and either were idiots because they knew what Miller was doing or had some idea of what he was like, or because they were idiots because they didn't know what they were doing and didn't know what Miller was like. Those are your choices. So don't try to get it twisted about who he's mad at. Okay? He is a professional. And if you basically, this is all just dumb stuff. There should be no doubt in anyone's mind right now why the people that have been fired by Zaslav no longer have a job. This is what Gerry and I and others have been saying since the
we've
very
been talking
beginning.
about it. And like I said, the chat alert was like just crazy yesterday between Mikey, you, Andre. And Andre, by the way, did a great video if you guys haven't seen it. But this was the Business Insider yesterday, their huge article. And it's just, this is proof of how dead Ezra Miller is with Hollywood. His career is over. There's no coming back from this.
No.
He's involving underage people in his cult and the grooming again. The grooming that they're talking about here in this article, again, is not sexual grooming, but cult grooming.
Mental. Yes.
Yeah. It's psychological warfare. And it's abuse. It is abuse.
Oh, big time.
He is a psychologically abusive and I think physically abusive person. And as young as 12 years old. Wait a minute, what's this? But in the past 2 years, Miller, 29, has gone from one of Hollywood's most promising actors to one of its biggest liabilities. In April of 2020, Miller was filmed choking a fan in Iceland. This spring, grammar. He was arrested twice in Hawaii. He's not gender fluid. He is not gender fluid. That is the dumbest fucking thing. He used that as a shield. And when you see articles like this where they refer to him as they, that is them feeding into that fucking shield. It's bullshit. Miller was filmed choking a fan in Iceland. This spring, he was arrested twice. That is such bad grammar. He was arrested twice in Hawaii, first on charges of disorderly conduct and harassment, and then allegations of second-degree assault. In June, a German woman told Variety that Miller hurled insults at her and refused to leave her apartment earlier that year. That month, Rolling Stone published an article about how Miller was hosting a mother and her 3 children at the actor's Vermont home. A source told Rolling Stone that the home was littered with guns and that one of the children, a 1-year-old, put a loose bullet in his mouth.
Yeah, that's
career
disgusting.
is over. It's over. There is no coming back from what he's done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and again, this article also talks about even individuals that are hanging around Miller. There's one guy whose sole job it seemed to be, and this guy was in his 50s, to carry around a bunch of weapons like he needed protection or something. This is getting dangerous in a way that it should not be for someone of his position. And besides a lot of the weird behavior that he had working on some of the movies that he's worked on in recent years, this is getting bad. And again, this takes me back to the point that I made earlier. Michael Keaton. Look, there are a lot of actors that have recently worked with Ezra Miller within the last 3 years, when his behavior was beyond strange on set, both for the Harry Potter film that he did most recently, where he was quick to anger. One particular one where he just violently started shouting at people on set.
Yeah.
The people that are in control of Warner Brothers had to have known something was wrong. So
yeah, there's no question about it. And of course that's falls back on Toby Emmerich and Sarnoff. And for DC, Walter Hamada, which, Walter Hamada has already thrown Amber Heard under the bus.
Yeah, and he's going to keep throwing other people under the bus until people.
Even though I consider him just as culpable as anybody, but I need to go to the chat because I have not talked to you guys this morning. This has been an energetic, exciting fucking week, and it's built up to this Friday. And trust me, we'll be going even deeper into it on TGIF this afternoon. But I want to say good morning to Dust Wolf and John, our good friend. D. Bud Martin, good morning to you, sir. Penny is here. Good morning, Penny. Let's see who else jumped in here. Of course, Wolverine, good morning, and thank you for the $5 super chat, sir. Sox Bulletin is here, a very good friend to our channel. Wajid Liki Ashrafi, and I'm not going to try to pronounce your other hyphenated name. I'm going to butcher it. I'm sorry, buddy. You need to get into a private chat with me and tell me how to pronounce your last name. Because I get embarrassed when I mispronounce names. Marcos is here. Good morning. The lovely Sherry. Theme song for her. Let's see. King's Pork Cow's here. What's up, my friend? Real Wade Nation is here. Good morning, sir. Let's see. Trying to scroll through quickly. AF Watcher 88 is here. Good morning. Michael Moncrief. Oh my God, your brother is here. Keith.
What?
Your brother is in the chat.
Oh, no.
Good morning, Michael. Let's see. Dave Bob is here. I like people whose names are two first names. That just sounds funny. Dr. Dragon, the single best name for a Saturday morning cartoon villain ever. Dr. Dragon. And that could be like any kind of animation. It could be superhero, magical, or even anime. That name would work as a villain on any of those. Darius Munchausen is here, the single best version of Munchausen. And everybody knows the worst version of Munchausen is, of course, Munchausen by proxy. Let's see. Bill Barkley is here. Good morning, Bill. Gosh, a lot of people dropped in. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Friday to all of you. I hope everybody's having a good end of the week. And the next story we're getting into is, part of the huge thing that happened. And, Keith and I were witnessing this as it happened. And it's one of those fucking cool things we got to do is watch this shit fall apart. Comicbookmovie.com has the Batgirl, Warner Brothers Discovery, may save only $15 to $20 million by never releasing the movie. The fact is, the only thing they're saving money on really is the marketing, because they're not going to market the film. And the marketing is usually, around the same as the budget. That's a rule of thumb in Hollywood. And I like how they started. Talk about adding insult to injury. Warner Brothers pulled the plug on Batgirl in the midst of post-production, and it turns out the studio will save little to nothing by never releasing it. This is Alan Horn going, pull it. Yeah, it's not worthwhile. You're not going to make any real money off that.
Yep.
And it's the same thing with Supergirl. So that new edgy, boyish-looking Supergirl movie they were putting together. Gone. It's gone.
Now, you got to remember.
Yeah, you're not going to make money off that. Go ahead, pull it.
The reason for Batgirl and Supergirl was that this was part of the plan from Walter Hamada, Toby Emmerich,
the Haamaverse.
Yeah, to replace Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill. The plan was to have Batman and Superman replaced by Supergirl and Batgirl, with Wonder Woman, the three of them, along with Aquaman, the Flash, aka Ezra Miller, were to all make and form the basis of the brand new version of the Justice League, led by Wonder Woman. Okay, so basically, this is not happening.
Yeah, and neither is this one. This is the HBO Max series. It's been shelved, canned, canceled, whatever you want to call it. It's done. Never going to happen. The only thing we've not officially heard yet, but we know is coming, is JJ's plans. They're all gone. I'm telling you, this isn't even a prediction. This is reading what's happening. I'm reading what's happening, and there's no way JJ's ideas. The Batman series is the only thing that's potentially going to still happen, because I don't think at this point it's past post-production. It's ready to air. I think they're going to let it go on HBO Max. But HBO Max itself, talk about that, Keith.
Again, HBO Max is losing a good portion of its employees due to the original plan by Zaslav to save eventually $3 billion. So they are basically getting rid of a lot of the employees of HBO Max, because many of them basically are doing the same job that is being done by people at HBO. So you're basically spending a lot of money that's adding to a total of about $3 billion being wasted, which could actually go to new projects. So yeah, this is dumb. And this is what Zaslav was talking about. You know, this is what he found in doing all of the work that he was doing before he assumed control of everything 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Stand back and really think about this. He's found all this stuff out, and look at what he's accomplished in 4 months. This is all the stuff that Toby, Ann Sarnoff, and Walter Hamada had going. So for anybody trying to feel sad for those three, don't. You're wasting $3 billion, and they saw nothing wrong with it. And had they been successful, they would have continued to waste money.
And that's really all they were good at is, they were not producing films that were making money for the studio. The studio was losing money with those three in charge. And Zaslav knew that, and he just started hacking them apart right from the very beginning. The first person to go was Ann Sarnoff, and Ann Sarnoff has a show that's still going to fucking air that I believe is going to do damage, even more damage than season 7 and 8 of Game of Thrones did to the franchise.
Oh yeah, the new Game of Thrones series is pretty much all Ann Sarnoff driven, and the changes between the novel that it's based on and the actual series are all decisions that she wanted to make. So race swapping, and then heavily adding more to certain characters that originally weren't as important or weren't making certain decisions within the original story. All of that is because of Ann Sarnoff. And unfortunately, now that she's gone, you still have this product that a lot of people worked really hard on. And look, this is the next to last chance they have with this. This entire
and I want to we need to transition now into what Mikey posted this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and share that. I want to get to everything that we need to talk about. Warner Brothers discovery to form DC Studios. This article was released this morning by Mikey himself. Warner Brothers Discovery will form DC Studios during CEO David Zaslav's quarterly 2 investor calls. They will pursue a 10-year plan for DC Comics properties. All of this should sound familiar for 2 reasons. First, Zaslav wants to follow Marvel Studios' corporate and creative structure under President Kevin Feige. In fact, Disney icon Alan Horn is advising Zaslav on the correct path. He should know, after all, Horn eventually helped shape Marvel Studios and Feige and then Disney CEO Bob Iger. Although I will tell you, Phase 4 is not Alan Horn's fault. That is straight up Kevin Feige and to some degree Victoria Alonso. Second, Mikey scooped on June 1st, 2021, he wrote, if the Warner Media Discovery merger pushes through, DC Films could resemble Marvel Studios afterward. And that is exactly what he said. I remember when he said it and we talked about it at the time. So here's some of the structure that you were seeing right here. And right here in the studios is DC. You do not see DC over into the other areas. That's because DC is going to be a part of the networks. Anything that DC does is going to be part of the network process. And especially when it comes to this, it'll be on, I'm assuming it'll stay on HBO Max, but we still don't know if HBO Max is going to survive. One, we've been making fun of the name HBO Max since the very beginning. It's like, well, let me get this straight. You form a basic streaming service for the entire Warner archive, and you chose to call it HBO Max.
Which they already had an HBO Go.
It was
at
dumb.
that time.
It was dumb.
Yeah.
The person who came up with that name, probably Ann Sarnoff or Toby. Fucking idiots. Anyway, but we're going to see, DC is going to get spread out. The movies will be released under the DC label, but I'm going to assume that DC movies, once they reach a certain age, will appear on probably TNT, and then, but when they're freshly released within a few months of the release, they'll hit HBO Max. But
they have to
continue.
Okay.
I want to finish the article. At the time, fear spread online. Many believed that Zaslav would, at the time, fear spread online. Many believed that Zaslav would be too cheap to pull that off. In fact, Zaslav's recent cancellation of the Batgirl film resurrected that paranoia. I added then that Zaslav was looking for his own Feige. It could easily be Jon Favreau. This was over a year ago, long before any of this became public. On the other hand, I also revealed that Zaslav wasn't trying to copy the MCU style. Rather, he desired their structure and commitment to quality. And I like that, quality. Whether the MCU is your cup of tea or not, those films consistently rank high in Rotten Tomatoes. This is where I argue with Mikey. He's talking about established critics. They don't matter. It's what the audience thinks that matters. And not every one of Disney Marvel films ranks high with the audiences. Zaslav is well aware that's key to their billion-dollar success. Again, audience reaction is important. And I think that's what Zaslav cares about.
Yeah, he talked about that during his...
He doesn't give a shit about critics, what they think. And I think Mikey should have really been careful in parsing how he said that, because that's kind of incorrect in his statement here. I'm going to say that to him when we talk later. Thus, Zaslav threw Batgirl in the wastebasket. The Batgirl test screenings displeased Warner Brothers Discovery. I leaked that. Yeah, that was leaked. Sil Abdul, our good buddy at Scoop Center. And now some argue that DC Studios would reboot the DCEU. Here's a major problem with that bit of speculation. Zaslav has already taken an axe to the reboot. After all, The Flash was supposed to create a new DC. That was the Hamadaverse. Michael Keaton is the DCEU's Batman, Batgirl with J.K. Simmons, Jim Gordon instead of Ben Affleck. Warner Brothers Discovery erased Keaton in Aquaman 2 in The Lost Kingdom. Instead, they put Affleck back in his place. Furthermore, Zaslav flatly erased the Batgirl movie itself. And that's what we're looking at right now. That is what we're looking at. The so-called reboot ended before it even began. In addition, the execs behind the reboot are gone from their positions. Do you mean reboot or booted out? There, booted out. Granted, Zaslav hasn't named its DCU studios yet, That's still coming. Moreover, he hasn't named the captain of DC Studios yet. Warner Brothers Discovery 10-year plan remains a mystery. Still, Snyderverse veterans Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, and Affleck continue to wear their costumes. On the contrary, the new kids, Leslie Grace's Batgirl, Sasha Calle's Supergirl, Holo Maradueno's Blue Beetle, are the ones who carry a question mark over their heads. And Reboot or Restore, if you can only follow the clues, which is what I was talking about, that's what we do. We follow the clues. Which one would you bet on? And Mikey and I are both saying follow the clues. This shit's gone. It's not going to happen. This shit is on. And what's going to happen? They're going to let Zaslav finish what he started. And then on top of that, they're going to basically continue what he creates. It's not going to be the Snyderverse anymore, but it'll have the genetic makeup of the Snyderverse.
What Zaslav talked about during the big shareholders meeting, and what he intimated, is that he's looking at trying to make a commitment to quality entertainment, giving fans what they want, but also making quality entertainment above all. And he also kind of hinted at what he was looking at as far as the future of the DC films. What they are looking at is probably inviting Cavill and Affleck back, but not exactly starting completely from where Snyder left off. Now, for those that have been paying attention, Snyder did say in his one interview before the premiere of Justice League, his version of Justice League, that because of certain things that had gone on, people already knew what his original story plan was for Justice League 2 and 3. He is changing that story, and that is starting to line up with what Zaslav has been saying, which is there's going to be a redirection, not so much of a reboot, but a redirection or a different way of accomplishing both the Snyderverse and this new DC universe that they are putting together, that also includes everything that they have going on with Dwayne Johnson and the characters that he's bringing in, both with Shazam, Black Adam, and Blue Beetle.
Right.
So all of this is getting done. In other words, those of you out there who were not that happy possibly with, say, Ben Affleck being an older Batman, a lot of that might get retconned. So we might actually have a Batman family again. You might be looking at.
We could very well see this, and we're going to get a different version of Batgirl. Now, Bill says that he thinks at some point it may come out. I don't know. Here's how it'll happen, Bill. If fans ask for it, it will come out. If they don't ask for it, you will never fucking see that Batgirl. You'll never see it because there's no value. In Zaslav's eyes and Warner Brothers Discovery's eyes, there is no value to what they created. There's no value to it.
Plus,
good
the
or
story
bad,
will make no sense.
Midnight movie doesn't matter. It'll just never see the light of day. The only way that happens is if fans request it, and it's got to be a lot of fans, a lot of signatures, to get that release. But I want to say good morning to some of the people because Bill popped in. Monkey Jeebus is here, one of my two favorite monkeys. Cindy Meadows is here. Good morning. Want to make sure I don't miss anybody here. Of course, our good friend Anima Confusa is in the chat. Good morning, Anima Confusa. Cindy Meadows again. And Chris. Oh, Chris is here. Christopher Moonlight Productions. Hi, buddy. How are you doing this morning, man? I hope you guys are all doing good. Hope you're having a good Friday. This is just my pulse is going over all this. I'm serious. I'm so fucking excited. Now, did you watch Andre's new video?
I haven't seen Andre's new video yet.
Here it is right here. Next to be scrapped. This is what we're hearing. Again, I'm bringing it up that what's being reported from insiders is that Zaslav is on the fence. He is on the side of the fence leaning to scrapping this fucking movie, shelving it for never ever being seen. Because again, Mikey threw out some of the options that they had with the film is to just go straight to HBO Max, all that stuff. But there's a damage control issue that Ezra Miller is a problem. He is a real fucking problem. And what I said was put another budget of $100 million and add another actor and replace him digitally.
Yeah. Well, it isn't just replacing Ezra Miller. It's about also rewriting the script for a different outcome.
Well, there's a problem with the script too, and that's why he's leaning towards shit canning it, because they're not happy with the audience reactions to what have been seen. Definitely with the other stuff too. I mean, terrible audience reactions, but people who've seen what we have so far on this one, not happy with it. Not happy. It's not just Ezra Miller's fucking personal problems. This is just apparently not really a very good film. And of course, we lost Michael Keaton on it, and they started shooting footage with Ben Affleck for this. This was already happening. They were shooting footage with Ben Affleck, but even that might end up being scrapped. And that was probably another $25 million right there.
Yep.
To save the film. And still, they don't. Zaslav is concerned that it's not salvageable. And he, of course, is thinking as a business guy, so he's leaning toward Alan Horn. And if he's on the other side of the fence leaning towards shit canning, that means Alan Horn feels that way.
Yeah, well, it would probably be cheaper if you didn't have to worry about having Michael Keaton in the Flash movie. If you took him out of that film, basically then it's Casey Clemens, and it's whatever new actor will play the Flash. And
put
so
Bill Barkley's comment back up there.
And so ultimately,
Martin,
then what's the story? What story are you going for?
Let's address this. Keith, can you read what he's saying here?
Okay.
There was a fan buildup that led to that. And if you're saying what I think you're saying, again, that you think Batgirl might show up, where are the fans on that, Bill? You're forgetting that's the important ingredient. There has to be a demand for it.
Yeah.
And if you're not getting a demand for it, I'm trying to be as clear as possible here with you.
Yeah.
That there has to be a demand for it. I guarantee you're not going to see a demand for Batgirl.
Let me
anything not Snyder related.
Let me ask you this, Bill. Are you and this is important because this goes to what Zaslav wants. My question to you is, are you a Snyder fan or not? If you're not a Snyder fan and you just wanted to see something that's going to wipe it out, buy yourself a whole bunch of tissues and cry your eyes out because you're not getting what you want.
Read that comment right there. Read that comment. Cindy Meadows.
Remember,
it. To the middle of the month, Everything Killed isn't a loss on Zaslav's books because of the changeover. Thank you for illuminating that again, Cindy, because this is something that we've talked about previously. That cutting some of this shit's not going to hurt him in the long run.
And again, the plots don't make sense in the long run. A lot of these scripts weren't very well written because they were written in a rush to get out before Zaslav took over.
There is debate over that, Monkey, of how much was actually shot. The fact was they wanted Michael J. Fox from the very beginning, but they had to start shooting. So they tried to shoot around easy stuff that would be replaceable later. And in the end, what's his name? I forgot the other actor's name. He ended up in that. You can actually see him in one scene. It's a wide shot, but it's clearly not Michael J. Fox. Hey, Paulie's here. Good morning, sir. Leslie Grace does have a huge fan base, but if that's a crap movie, don't release it. And that's not the big thing we're hearing is that inside it was just really bad. Oh, another good friend of ours is here, Script Doctor. The only reason people would want to see Batgirl is more Michael Keaton. Exactly.
That's right. And they can give Michael Keaton something really cool, which is make the Batman Beyond film. That will cure that real quick. Look, Batgirl as a story.
Eric
and
Stoltz,
the reason
thank you, Stocks.
and the reason why it was basically greenlit has no relevance in the future of DC films at all. Now, let's say eventually they're going to let you see it. Chances are they're going to wait about 5 years.
Yeah. Now
So
I'm going to point something out with you and me, Keith. What we have been pretty much, I would put us in the ballpark of just our guessing without any Hollywood insiders. We've been right over 90% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Where we got hit really bad in our predictions was with
Henry Cavill.
Not so much with Henry Cavill, but with Paramount, CBS.
Oh, yeah.
When we had all of our money, we were betting on Sherry Redstone. We went all in on Sherry Redstone because we knew what she wanted to do, and what none of us were prepared for was the Les Moonves firing, and before getting fired, giving Alex Kurtzman an ironclad contract that was unfuckable.
Basically, I mean, the difference between what Zaslav is able to do.
That's one area where because you and I are really good at reading where things are going and seeing all the dots, and we're not trying to connect the dots, we're lining the dots up and going, this clearly led to this led to this, and this led to this. You, of course, are the master of the murder board. You have a murder board with here's what, where I am just a really good person of following patterns. So let's see. Lovely Sherry says Leslie Grace is a good singer. Michael Keaton, Wajid says Michael Keaton is a Batman Beyond movie would be dope. Absolutely. Every fan has said this.
Yep.
I think this is one of the most widely spoke about things is Michael Keaton should be in, what is that show? I just forgot the name of it again. Batman Beyond. Even though I didn't watch much, I watched the one season of it. But I didn't hate the thing. All I wanted to see was more Keaton. Yeah.
All the people
I was looking forward to it. But hold on, I want to read the comments, buddy. Just hold on. Wouldn't mind a Batgirl movie, just not that Batgirl. Yeah, I like the one that has been rumored to be on the list for Snyder. So let's see. Oh, God damn it. I'm moving down. I'm going to take over for a second because I want to read these. There are ready leaked photos and script dialogue from the movie. And keep it on the shelf, lock it up, move on. Polly, God, I love you so much, man. You know what? I will. Let's see if I have the right emoji here. Hold on. I mean, not emoji, but better avatar. Because when Keith comes in the room, he will sometimes change my avatar. There we go. Here it is. I am gay for Polly. Rashid Kurtzman is the Hamada of Star Trek. Yes, he is. And he should have been fired, but they couldn't find a way to fire him because of that fucking contract. Les Moonves said, "You're firing me? Well, good luck firing the guy I hired." Because he gave him a contract that was literally unfuckable. Batgirl was going to have bat puns. Oh, yeah. No thanks. See, Batgirl with no connection to any of the current Batman is dumb. Completely agree. Let's see. Batgirl plot was a Batman Beyond-like story, but Batman Beyond was neat, but too Frank Miller influenced. I trust script on this one. Absolutely.
You know,
that is
Batgirl my only
plot was a Batman Beyond-like story, but Batman Beyond was neat, but too Frank Miller. Yes, exactly like script said. Let's see. I've still got more. Trying to get through these. What is this? It's Batten time, lovely Sherry. And there's been a fan casting of Keaton as old man Bruce Wayne in Batman. Absolutely. That is something that is hugely fan supported. And if Zaslav's not paying attention or Alan Horn isn't paying attention to the fans, there's no hope for them. They got to be listening to the fans. Batgirl comics are anything that's modern is SJW crap. The question is in the chat. Hello, question. Good to see you again. What's up, Gary, Keith? Exciting times. We may not agree with every decision Zaslav makes from here out. Well, here's what I said. I don't agree, but I understand. It's sort of that line that what is that comedian that died in that horrible accident? Sam Kinison said, I don't condone spousal abuse. I'm just saying I understand it. And it's the sort of same thing with Zaslav. You know, it's like, I don't completely agree with everything he's doing or said, but I understand him. I understand where he's coming from. I understand where he's trying to go with this. And yeah, and thanks again. Cindy says Batgirl comics are, yes, absolutely. What's happening with Cyborg? We don't know. I don't know. I am hoping that he's coming back with them trying to restore the Snyderverse and let him finish what he started. He has to come back.
And as far as Mr. Terrific goes, chances are we'll see the original Mr. Terrific before we get to the more recent race-swapped version of Mr. Terrific.
Yeah, I predict a lot less race swapping and gender swapping under this new regime. Not that it's not going to happen. I'm just saying a lot less. The whole Batgirl, Supergirl thing was a gender swap to get rid of the male superheroes. That was what that plan was. Hamada and Sarnoff and Toby Emmerich had that plan. Mm-hmm. So, oh wait. Yeah. Don't worry about that one. Brightest Day is here. Good morning, sir. So let's get back to this because this is, again, the video. If you've not watched it, go watch this video over on Midnight's Edge, next to be scrapped. And of course, he does what we do, put the question mark, because nobody wants to get busted for making a proclamation and end up being wrong a little bit. But we know this isn't wrong. This is what's going to happen. And that's why when Andre takes the time to make a video, it's because everything is pointing to that. And so, what's this? Hold on. What did the script say? You think they'll do the Terry Sloan Mr. Terrific, Keith?
They could easily have both versions of Mr. Terrific. Okay. Just like I've been saying about Blue Beetle for the longest time. There is no reason why you can't have more than one version. Okay. I just think that they're going to go with the OG Mr. Terrific first before we get the newer version. And as far as if you want to see more people of color, I'm looking right at you right now and saying this. Milestone is there for a reason. The dumbest thing Walter Hamada ever did was not greenlighting to work and use the Milestone characters. Everything that Marvel has as far as being way out front of DC for a lot of characters of color, they would have been able to outdo them years ago if Emmerich and Hamada had been smart enough to just say, hey, we're just going to go with the Milestone universe and bring them into the DC stuff and start making Icon films and start making Static films, Blood Syndicate, Hardware.
I got to tell you right now, the pulse of this show is the chat. So we need to follow the direction of the chat because they're asking really good questions and making good statements here.
Yeah.
So, and he's talking about this is something we talked about at the beginning of the show, which is, look, it's not been published yet, but J.J. Abrams is done. That is where the dots are leading. That with what he's doing right now, all the stupid ideas that J.J. had are fucking dead in the water. The only thing that's going to have his name associated with it, and they're not going to cancel, is the animated animated series. Because enough fans enjoy that, but
Matt Reeves is
I don't know. I
predict.
Yeah, so he's a JJ clone. And let's see, what was this one too? Cindy said Zaslav was probably trying to get the feel of the investors. No, there's no question. He is a guy who pays attention to the people that are important to the existence of that studio. The investors are number one, and the audience is number two. And they're pretty almost tied with him because the investors are the ones who actively put money into things, and the audience are the people who pay for those things. Do you understand why they're equally important? So he sees the significance of both. And no matter what, that's the way he's geared. And when you start understanding Zaslav's MO, it's not about cutting money, saving money. It's about putting money in the right place, because he's proven he will dump money into things. And he doesn't understand film. He brought in Alan Horn to help guide them. Am I not right? That was, was all about bringing Alan in.
Well, hey, Paulie, how's it going, big man? Look,
Good morning, Courtney.
The whole thing with Abrams is that deal is really predicated on his ability to be able to deliver, meaning that money that he was promised, he's only going to get that money when he actually has product to put out. So far, there's only Batman. And until, I look at it this way. Zaslav is in charge now. That deal with JJ was made with the prior administration. Zaslav is not about wasting money. And again, you have to understand what Gerry and I have been saying. That whole thing with not having the Green Lantern series, you understand that is now the complete end of the Berlanti/Arrowverse.
Yeah, Berlanti's gone. Because Alan Horn,
he's good friends,
whispered into the ear of fucking David Zaslav saying, Berlanti is not your friend. When it comes to business, he is not your friend. And I'm telling you, the only thing that was keeping Berlanti employed was the friendship he had with Zaslav. But Zaslav has proven time and again to kick his friends. His best golfing buddy fired him unceremoniously. Get the fuck out. I don't know if they even golf together anymore after that. That was the head of CNN. He gutted CNN, man. Gutted it. CNN is starting to act like a fucking news network again instead of a mouthpiece for the Democratic Party.
But what does R&B like to say? It ain't show friends. It's show business.
It's show business. But again, I want to say hi to everybody. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Dennis McCullough is here. Gerry is getting recalled to the Matrix. That was what I laughed at.
You're right. He would be great as Icon. Michael B. Jordan as Icon. Jeez. Again, this shows you how not with it, the last group of people who were making a lot of money a year ago. And you remember Gerry and I telling you 1 year ago, beware of all these projects they're greenlighting.
Yeah, we kept saying last year, we kept saying they're greenlighting these things like crazy. And a lot of those green lights were for Hamada trying to get his, what's her name from Sony with Spider-Man. He's trying to get his
own deal, his own Spider-Man type deal.
And everything he did failed. And so he's, because his goal was to stay connected to that. Because if you get a really good project, what is her name? I forget her name over at Sony. The email scandal lady.
Yeah.
She got that deal for Spider-Man with Marvel. So therefore, when it became successful, even though she was fired from Sony, every time they do that movie or that character, she gets brought in as an executive producer. Every single time. And that's what not Toby, but Hamada was doing. He was greenlighting all these fucking DC films and projects, hoping that something would get done before Zaslav slaughtered everyone. And that way he would get his guaranteed back in every time they worked with that like the Batman.
Pascal deal.
Yes, Pascal.
Amy Pascal.
Thank you, Wolverine 626. Amy Pascal, one, she got shit all over her face over her emails. And anybody who read those emails, I went through them, knows what a piece of shit she really is. She's a duplicitous fucking piece of shit. But the fact is you're going to always see her name whenever you see anything involving Spider-Man. Her name will always be
Pictures.
Yep, Pascal Pictures. That's what Hamada was trying for. And Keith and I were warning people. That's what he's doing. He's trying to get his Amy Pascal deal. And the Batman was the big one for him. That's the big one for him. That if they got, and I'm not sure, maybe the Joker too. I'm not sure on that one because Hamada had very little to do with that film other than greenlighting it. But the fact is that, and that might be why we started hearing these weird rumors about the Rocky Horror Picture Show meets the Joker, where it's like Arkham Asylum insanity and the Joker, and I'm assuming in his head, and it doesn't sound like such a bad idea that in his head, it's like Brazil. The ending of Brazil, when you have him in that chair being tortured and all of a sudden he gets rescued, he escapes the facility and he gets the happy ending with the girl. But in reality, he's still in that chair being tortured. His mind snapped and he's just gone. And that's sort of what we talked about, that would work with that kind of idea for a musical Joker, that all this shit's in his head. It's not really happening. It's happening more horribly than what's in his head because he's insane. I said that might work, but the fact is do you really want to go see that? Do you really want to go spend the money that it costs to buy a ticket today to go see that?
Also, Zaslav is really committed to having a version of the DC universe where a lot of things are connected. Now, remember, the real reason why there had to be a Joker 2 is that Hamada and the rest of Warner Brothers screwed up their deal in
we've talked about this.
Joker, which means they basically, Warner Brothers, who owns the IP, didn't make a good portion of that $1 billion that Joker made at the box office.
They didn't think it was going to do anything, so they were like, "Yeah, just go ahead and make it."
That's a screw
up. They didn't make any money on that. Now, everybody that made the film made the money.
I guarantee you, had Zaslav been running Warner Brothers, everybody that had anything to do with that deal would have been gone. So,
man, that is what Warner did. What they did, all of them. That was Ann Sarnoff, Toby Emmerich, and I think Jeff Johns was still employed there when that happened, wasn't he? And of course, Walter Hamada.
But Hamada was the one that came in saying, Wonder Woman 84 and Birds of Prey are really our strongest hands, and they're going to make a lot of money for us.
And they
don't have to worry about Joker.
Awful. Now, I'm not sure what you mean here, Gary, making a Brazil reference. I'm assuming that's a good thing to you because I fucking love Brazil. And I love the director's cut of Brazil. And of course, McCullough commenting on it. King Koro, I know what you mean. Because Brazil's a great fucking film, man. I love that fucking movie. And of course, Polly saying yes to what you were talking about.
Yeah.
If Star Trek was under Warner Brothers, it would actually be fixed under Zaslav. Absolutely.
Oh, Kurtzman would have had to.
He would have eaten the fucking check to get rid of. It's like, oh, you mean we got to give him a fucking out, nice paycheck, and not give?
No.
I see that as a win because we'll lose more than that keeping him. But Sherry Redstone had no balls, had 0 balls on that, and that really shocked Keith and I.
Yeah,
and that was where you and I really fucked up in our guessing. Because you and I read things and look at things, and we started talking about it. I started looking at what you were talking about with her, and I'm like, oh my God, she really loves Star Trek. She really loves classic Star Trek. And she was angry. She was angry with her dad and Les Moonves breaking it up the way it happened. Because that's led to every single problem. Every single problem. That's my William Shatner. Every single problem that has happened with Star Trek.
It's cost them money.
It's cost them tons of money. Merchandising. They've lost, I would say at this point, probably $1 billion or more in merchandise sales.
Notice, not only does Kurtzman and his people don't care, but the stuff that they are signing off on, anything related to real Star Trek, they try to make it something that's kind of shoved over into the really expensive area. I mean, a $500 Lego Star Trek set based on the real Star Trek stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I need to say good morning to a few more people that have joined us. I think I already said good morning to Script Doctor. Either way it goes, I love seeing Script Doctor in the chat. Osa Fresh 1994. I said good morning to the question and brightest day. Courtney, I did say hello to you, but I want to say hello to you again. Hi, Courtney. And of course, the last one to join us is Fletcher Williams. Good morning. Good to see you guys. I love seeing our regular crowd. You guys make my day. You do. You are, I'm Clint Eastwood, and you're the criminal I'm going to shoot in the face. Go ahead, punk. Make my day.
Let's try to increase the number of likes we have on this. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
War Monkey is here. Hold on. War Monkey is here. Yes. Good morning. Now, both of my favorite monkeys are here. Awesome. If only we could get the real monkeys, but most of them are dead. All we got left is Mickey. And he can still sing the songs, at least.
That's right.
Most of them. I'm doing a show. Stop calling me. But basically, oh, wait. I see Bill said something. What is this? By the way, it's all asinine because they put Prey into streaming, and it's supposed to be really good. No, I've heard nothing but good reviews about it. That it shocked a few people of just how good it is. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing it. But they're going straight to Disney with it. Going to release it on Disney Plus. But we'll see what happens. Cindy says you need a strong creative, not letting corporates call the shots. Well, the only thing I say there is this: you have to listen to your investors. You have to.
Gerry,
it's essential. Yeah, man.
Please read your Twitter DMs.
Well, let's see. Who else we got? Corporates think just because their job is managing the money, they are the writers too. Know your role, do your job. Monkey Jeebus, you are correct. The problem is you have way too many people currently right now who actually think they are creative. I'm looking at you, Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, you're an office manager is really what a lot of you guys are. Stick to that and hire really creative people to be able to create the content. Know your role. Stay in your lane. That's all it is.
I agree. I do want to respond to also what Cindy said. Would you please put that up for me? What Cindy said, because I want to ask them a direct question. You need strong creative, not letting corporates, because you're saying something similar to what Monkey Jeebus said. Call the shots, like the women characters have a good story, just being a woman isn't going to sell it. That's true. Do you feel that creating the Supergirl and Batgirl movies was a good idea, just done wrong, is the question I have for you, Cindy, because they were using actual characters. Now, I didn't like that they race swap Batgirl, because they really do have a ginger problem in Hollywood. Specifically, every single time you have a major ginger character, they race swap them. Every time. Even when Disney did their live action version of Little Mermaid, they race swapped the ginger. They hate gingers. But do you think that they were on the right track by using actual characters from the comics to replace the male characters? Or do you think, Cindy, that they should have used them in tandem rather than trying to replace? That's my question to Cindy.
It's a good question.
Yes, I said ginger. And yes, you are definitely high on my list. And anybody who knows me knows that that is my kryptonite. Gingers are my kryptonite. I don't think it's just because I'm Irish. Gingers are hot.
Thank you, Kingsport.
And I have a lot of my kid's a ginger. My middle child, he is a ginger, absolutely, from the Irish side of the family. He got the fucking freckles. We all had freckles. I have freckles too, but he got the most freckles and the ginger hair, and he's so fucking good looking. My middle child. All my kids are handsome, including my beautiful daughter. Prey is on Hulu. Yep, Hulu will be owned again. Still, they're only releasing it there because they were releasing it through 20th Century Fox, but it's still Disney. Oh, absolutely. I don't want to even get into that. That was a huge mistake. That movie was a mistake from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But Batgirl, in my opinion, they went about it in the wrong way. They were instead of being a tandem character to work with, they intended to have these characters replace Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill. And it's like, you need to stop doing that. People are aware of it when you do that, and it cheapens what you're doing. It really does. It makes you as a studio look petty when you do shit like that. But it seems like people like Walter Hamada, Ann Sarnoff, and Toby Emmerich in particular don't care how petty they look. History will not look back on them very well for the decisions they made. And I fear this is also in the cards for Kevin Feige, because Kevin Feige really deserves a lot of the blame for the stupid shit that happened in Phase 4.
Mm-hmm.
Phase 4, I still stand by it that basically Kevin Feige shit the bed and Victoria Alonso peed in bed.
Cool.
But they were in bed together. And so they were kind of gross, but Kevin Feige was grosser for what he did. I was going to toy hunting, but I have a buyer coming over and I have to, you got to go. All right, Monkey Jeebus, thanks for stopping in, buddy. Okay, let's see what Cindy says. I was going to go. Okay. Absolutely, you are correct, Martin. Ganker. Cindy is a bot. That's why I asked her a direct question. So, good spot there, Martin. Thank you, man. He spotted that and sent me a private message. But yeah, go toy hunting, Monkey. Hey, man, don't forget, share what you have, man. If you want to come on the show and share some of the stuff that you get or saw, come on the show maybe tomorrow, our Saturday morning fun time show.
Yeah, that'd be great. We could have a small show and tell segment.
Yeah, we could do that. If you want to act like we're first grade again. Jesus Christ.
Well, it's Saturday morning fun time.
What are we, elementary school level?
Maybe.
I'm teasing you, of course. Show and tell. I love show and tell, dude. I still do show and tell with some of my artist buddies. You know, we get together with the show what we've done recently. Thanks for the mental image. You're very fucking welcome, because you want to remember this. Kevin Feige shit the bed with Phase 4. Only thing came out of Phase 4 that was good was Spider-Man. So that's really, it really doesn't count. It kind of counts, but it doesn't really, because that's still Sony too.
And here's the thing that's really kind of breaking my brain a bit. That you're starting to lose control when you decide to have a sequel to a movie that just basically did F all at the box office. Why even go down that road with Eternals 2? You'd almost be better off doing an Inhumans movie.
The movie tanked. Why in the fuck would you do a sequel? This is the problem I have with some of these people. I lose respect for them when they start doubling down on bad ideas.
Yeah. This is the reason why getting rid of Batgirl is a wake-up call to everybody in Hollywood, because Zaslav's coming in and he sees an opportunity. There is an opening. All you Marvel and MCU,
he's not just coming in, he's coming in hot. You get the fuck off that landing strip. Control, clear the field. They are coming in hot. That means get the fuck off the fucking runway.
There is more than enough room for DC Comics to come in here and start laying waste. Okay? I'm telling you right now, if they're doubling down on bad ideas at the MCU, then you know what? It's time to start looking at what DC's got to offer. And Zaslav is going to make sure that whatever they have is going to be of quality. 4 months. He's been in charge. Only 4 months, and look what he's done. Look how he's changing Hollywood. 4 months.
Paramount should be petrified of what Zaslav is doing, because as goes one studio, it eventually bleeds over into other studios. Paramount is currently still the only studio that's not trying to repair shit. Now, I'm going to tell you, Paramount still puts out good stuff.
Yep.
You know, SEAL Team, fucking love that show. I think it's one of the best things CBS put out. And when they moved it to Paramount Plus, fucking smart move. It is now the best show they've got going. Sadly, the other great show they have, they fucked up the way Warner did with the Joker, which is Yellowstone, because Yellowstone is over on Peacock.
Yeah.
But they're giving Sheridan his own shows over for Paramount, and he's been making these limited miniseries. And he's got another one coming out. It's a prequel to Yellowstone. The previous one, 1883, outstanding, dark ending, but it's an honest ending.
Yeah.
I like the way he writes men and women. He writes them so realistically. You know, he makes women tough, but he doesn't make them fake tough like Warner does.
Well,
I'm a DC person. Marvel was mostly
really be on the lookout.
No, you're preaching to the choir, CJ. And good morning, by the way, buddy. You know, because Keith and I think both of us came up Marvel guys and became DC guys because DC was grittier.
Well, I started out a DC guy, but I have a lot of love for Marvel. You know,
because I started with Marvel in the 60s as a little kid. And when the 70s hit, holy shit, man. The Detective Comics, they went dark with Batman, and I was hooked. I've never been a comic book fan of Superman. I like the cinematic and animated worlds of Superman. I didn't like the comics. I never got into them. And I really hated Byrne's run with Superman. I didn't like he looked good with the X-Men, the way he drew, worked with the X-Men. Did not work with Superman, in my personal opinion. That's my personal feelings. CJ says, no, Gary, David Z has one more thing he needs to do. Get rid of JJ. No, we've said that. You missed the first part of the show.
Yeah, it's done.
Happening.
Yeah,
it's happening.
Done. It's done.
It's not been made public, but we are 100% sure he is done. And by the way, good morning, Stephanie. It's good to see you.
Batman Caped Crusader is the name of the animated series that has comic book writer Ed Brubaker, the creator of The Winter Soldier, along with J.J. Abrams and who's also the other two people that are involved with this? Matt Reeves, who studied under J.J. Abrams, and Matt Reeves is the guy who ended up writing and directing The Batman, and Bruce Timm. So it's the four of them together, and I gotta say, this could be good, but I'm telling you right now, Justice League Dark, no, and the Black Superman, no. There's no way those are getting off the ground at all.
Wolverine, Days of Our Lives, I think, is one of the oldest, longest running shows.
Mm-hmm.
It's Young and the Restless and Days of Our Lives. I'm not sure which one of them is the oldest, but yeah, 50 years on NBC. They're ganking it to put it on Peacock,
which is smart.
I don't know, man, because it's still anytime you put something behind a paywall, it bothers me. And Peacock still has a pay level that I have a beef with, because it should absolutely be advertiser based. It should be commercial television, and we're starting to see that because Amazon smarted up and they took IMDb TV and turned it into Freevee, and so now you can watch a lot of like Bosch. I am a fucking nut for that show. I fucking love it. I've got friends in that show. You have one friend that I introduced you to, of course, is Phil Morris. Phil is a villain in that show. He's a semi-villain. He's a heavy character. And of course, Fahim is in it. My good dear friend, close friend.
Well, let me at least say this. Peacock is about to more than likely come into a lot of money. Disney is going to have to give them a lot of money because it's written into their deal for Hulu, of which Peacock, I think, has 30% of. Eventually, come 2024, Peacock could then turn around and tell Disney, hey, guys, per our contract here, you got to pay me. You got to buy me out of my portion of Hulu. And at this point, they could do some serious financial damage to Disney unless Disney starts coming up with more revenue. This is the reason why Chapek is starting to act and look at what Zaslav is doing and going, I think that's the way to get it done. Disney needs to come up with some money, a lot of money, because Peacock was the one that actually helped to stick them with all that money that they ended up paying for Fox. They were the ones that helped drive the price higher, and they did it gladly. So if you think they're going to take it easy on Disney,
ain't gonna happen. Now I'm going to tell you something about the only black Superman that they should turn into a movie, because the first attempt failed, is this gentleman right here. Steel is a great comic character.
Dr. John Henry Irons.
There's no gender swapping. There's no fucking race swapping. He is an original fucking comic character who has a great fucking story. His because they don't get him right on Superman and Lois. Is, I mean, it's nice they have a Steel on there, but that is not Steel.
Yeah,
the comic character. We want a comic accurate movie for this guy. Keith and I are absolutely pushing. This is something that needs to happen. They need to start recognizing black, Hispanic, Asian comic characters that actually exist, and stop fucking with the race swapping, because it's insulting to that race when you do that.
Yeah.
It's like the studio saying we need to get that race a hand up. So we're gonna do this to, because they can't do it on their own. Fuck you, studios. They can do it on their own, and they have been doing it on their own. You insulting fucking idiots.
Here's the other thing. DC Comics, they already had a smart, really intelligent, young black female. That was Irons' niece. Well before Ironheart. She probably is smarter than she's probably as smart, if not smarter, than Shuri in Black Panther. Okay? But
Shuri eventually gets her ass handed to her by Namor.
But ultimately, his niece is eventually going to take over as the new Steel. So you have a whole character.
I'm not a friend of that comic either, Monkey Jeebus, because I don't think it's a very well written comic. I don't think it's a well conceived comic. I think it's a bad. It was a bad comic. That's why it didn't sell well.
I just ultimately think that if you focus on John Henry Irons and what he's about as a character and his niece, you have two major characters right there that will be the gift that keeps on giving. Okay, and remember, there are characters of color within DC that have been there for decades that Hollywood, for whatever reason, seems to find reasons not to make a part of what they do. It's sad, really, but it's in some level it's not totally unexpected. And I hate to be that guy that says that, but I think that it's going to take a lot of trial.
Go back to Bill's question. Thank you. That was a question towards you, and I want to throw in when you're done.
Lucius Fox also is a character that was around since the 70s.
There's a question. There's a question for you, Keith.
By the way, is Keith going to watch the Sandman series now it's out? You know what? I'll watch it, but don't try to change my mind about Constantine. Now that it looks like
exactly.
Now that it looks like J.J. Abrams is gone, all the roadblocks to having an actual Constantine movie with the real John Constantine, that excuse is now over that Zaslav's in charge. Now, I like the Sandman comics. I will attempt to watch that thing. If it's good, I'll tell you it's good. If it's not, I won't. Do I have a problem with a few of the interpretations? Yeah, a slight problem. But I want to judge this entire thing on what it is as a whole, okay? But I'm also celebrating the fact that we could be getting a John Constantine, preferably television series, sometime in the near future. And yeah, I'll probably end up watching Neil Gaiman's The Sandman. I'm glad that Neil Gaiman likes it. That gives me hope. But I hope he's just as happy when we get around to having a real John Constantine television series and or movie. So
yeah, and my general opinion on him is that, look, man, Neil Gaiman's kind of woke. And I don't think I'm going to be enjoying this series. I've seen what they're doing, and it's like, look, man, the gender swapping, I think the gender swapping took place because of rights issues.
Yeah.
For Constantine. I think that was purely why that was done. But does that mean I'm going to be happy about it? No, I'm not going to be happy about it because, first of all, the way he writes the Sandman, he's Constantine. It's like he's doing Constantine, but calling him Sandman. And I don't think it's even a good one. It's emo Constantine. Do I want to watch a show with an emo Constantine? Am I going to be excited by an emo Constantine? No, I'm not. I'm going to fucking hate it. It's going to have some cool effects. The sets look good. The effects look good. But no, it's not going to be. I also own the Constantine film and no, I don't have a problem with it either. I thought that Keanu was like an alternate universe version of the character.
I will say this about Keanu, okay? I also had fun watching his Constantine movie, but I'm a bigger fan of actually translating the comic book version of the character. Keanu Reeves should be allowed back into the DC universe as the Phantom Stranger. And to me, you don't need the hat or anything else. If you go with the second version of his origin story, Keanu is perfect. In fact,
I'm with you, John, on that one.
In fact, if you look at it, the way he plays Neo in the Matrix films is pretty much almost the way I would have him play the Phantom Stranger. You know, and that would be fantastic. Just the dark costume, and yeah, it'd be great.
Now, I'm going to address this again, what John said, which is Neil Gaiman had one fucking great run, and that was Hellblazer. Mm-hmm. That was a great comic book. I really enjoyed that series. I enjoyed, because I when I discovered that he was a Sting fan, that I enjoyed that because he used a lot of Sting references within it, and the character of Constantine was based on Sting, the way it was drawn. It was Sting from the Police back during the Police days. And when that comic came out, I ate that shit up and I enjoyed it. But when he took over Sandman, all he did is he just kind of borrowed from himself, stole from himself. And I thought his Sandman was very derivative because of it. And it wasn't original in how he did it. So I'm not a big fan of his other work. The only thing I've enjoyed of his at all, and I bought Zoe the graphic novel, was Coraline. Past that, I don't find his writing very interesting. I like Coraline and I like Constantine. Hellblazer.
Well, you know, that's like one of two major characters that were big in the 80s that were inspired by Sting, and the other character is Lestat.
That's right, the vampire Lestat. Mm-hmm. And Rice was a big fan of his, which is funny because Sting would turn right around Moon Over Bourbon Street.
That's the song.
Was a nod to Anne Rice.
Yep.
And the vampire. But he was actually not that. I think that's Louis in the song because he says hands of a priest. That, of course, lyric is a direct reference to Louis because his brother was a priest. and he admired his and loved his brother.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore I took that song as absolutely not about the character Anne Rice based off of him, which is Lestat, but Louis.
Yeah.
And I just like that. I love that song. It's one of my favorite.
Good song. If you've never heard it before, and
Branford
and
Marsalis' sax, soprano sax on that, gorgeous. Gorgeous. It gives it that old 20s feel, 1920s.
Englishman in New York is the only other song that I think the two of them work really well with Branford sax in it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, their collaboration over I think they did 3 albums together.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Kenny Kirkland too. Kenny's keyboards on Sting's music was always amazing. And what's so funny is I was a fan of these guys because of their jazz. I already knew who Kenny Kirkland was, and I knew who, because Kenny and Branford played together. They worked with Dave Brubeck,
mm-hmm.
And Brubeck, is the guy who discovered Branford, and if it weren't for Dave Brubeck, Sting would have never heard of him.
That's right.
And I think the same thing goes for Kenny Kirkland. Now, I forget the guy's name, the black bassist I think he was only on the one album.
Yeah. And I think he only had.
I think they had Sting and he, because Sting's a bassist, and I think they had sort of a clash, and you kind of see it in the movie, the making of the live tour for that album,
mm-hmm.
which is a great film, and you kind of see a very dark side of Sting in that he's got a problem with things. But
mm-hmm.
I'm going off on a tangent because
let me drop one more name. Anwar Hakim.
Omar.
I'm sorry. I messed that up. Omar Hakim.
Omar Hakim, man.
That entire documentary about the making of the Dream of the Blue Turtles is something that if you love music, you should watch it. So I'm telling you, there are so many different things that DC could now do. Think about this. Now that they've gotten out of the business of the idiots that have been running things for a few years and costing them a lot of money, everything is completely wide open. Okay? It's just completely wide open. And whoever they pick to become the new head of DC Studios, which, again, I throw my vote to me because I would like to run it. I promise I won't be as expensive.
It would be. I think it would be really good. Okay, I'm jokingly asking Pop Culture Minefield this, but are you looking forward to the dark version of Barney? No. I only watched the Banana Splits movie because Graham Nolan told me it was fun. And I'm like, and I say, Graham, this could cost us our friendship, man. Are you sure? He goes, it was fun. And I went and watched it. I'm like, oh my God, it was dumb, but it was fun. It was silly. But I want to share something real quick. Share screen. Omar Hakim. There we go. This guy is he had, other than Phil Collins and Stuart Copeland, this guy, Omar Hakim, had the greatest impact on me as a drummer. I set my drums up exactly like his, just so I could learn to do rolls the way he does. Get off these guys. Go back to Omar. There you go. He is, in my opinion, in top 5 greatest living drummers. His work with Peter Gabriel and Sting is some of the best drumming you'll ever hear. In fact, he and Stuart Copeland, because Stuart Copeland is the other drummer that had a big impact on me as a drummer, they worked together on the song Red Rain.
Mm-hmm.
And all Stuart did on there is the hi-hats. That's all he played. That cool opening riff on the hi-hats, that's Stuart Copeland. The rest of the drumming is Hakim. And if you've never watched that guy, go fucking watch Omar Hakim play drums. His drum solo on Dream of the Blue Turtles movie, the movie about the live show, when they do I Burn For You, and he does that drum solo.
That drum solo.
I wept. Geez. I wept.
That is amazing.
Watching that. It's so fucking beautiful what he did. And I saw everything he was doing. And I'm, because when you're a musician and you're paying attention to other musicians, you really watch how they, not just how they do it, but how they think. You start picking up the patterns of their thinking and how they drum. And you can pick up those patterns of thinking when you learn drums. And that's how I learned to play. My first drum solo was imitating Omar Hakim on one of his drum solos, because I caught what he did and I just basically did it. And everybody in the audience was like, holy shit, that's fucking cool. I like, because I changed the rhythm of the song just for a moment. I didn't change the beat. I changed the rhythm, the focus of where the beat is, and then brought that beat back to the 4/4. It's called syncopation. And I've talked about syncopation because syncopate, it's like when you're doing on the beat, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Syncopation is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you're hitting on the and or the and-e. Instead of hitting on the beat, you're hitting between the beats. And Omar Hakim did that all the time, and that fucking blew my mind, dude. The way he plays drums. I'm so glad you agree with me. Man, bring on the night. Bring on the night.
I could watch that. I could watch that again.
Now I've gotten distracted because Keith and I go off on tangents, and we like interacting. We like interacting with you fuckers.
Tangent twosome.
Because you're our friends. But I am going to now, because we've got 25 minutes left of the show. Here we go. We're going to be talking about the finale of the Orville, New Horizons. I know some people might not agree with me on this, but I thought it was par for the course of what he did this season. I don't think this is his best writing this season. There was some really good writing in it, but there was also some stuff that I thought was like what were you thinking when you did that? It kind of left me befuddled because he had a year to really piece this show together this season. But this finale was the finale for what we saw this season. It's what I saw. I don't know if it's a series finale. It might be a series finale. And I'm not going to spoil anything too much, but I will talk about some things that are in it that bugged me. He did right off the bat cringe humor with Bortus and his spouse. And look who's here. Yeah.
I mean, for the Orville. Hi, Keith.
I didn't know if you were going to join us today. I gave you because I figured you were going to stay in the chat.
No, I can do 25 minutes.
Okay.
It's been a long day. I'm kind of kaput. So.
And when you hear me do a review, and I always got to remind people, and I kind of reminded you last night, Anna, that what I'm saying is based off of what they've done. It was a fun episode. I enjoyed the episode. It was fun. But it doesn't mean there's not things in there I didn't like, because if I compare it to the quality of writing that was in the best seasons of Star Trek Next Generation, this was a subpar season. They made mistakes that even that Ronald D. Moore would have caught and said, you can't do that.
I haven't seen the whole season, so I
once again
jumped onto episode 9 out of curiosity.
It had one solid lead writer. You had Seth MacFarlane. He wrote the whole season. He took that time to write the whole season, and I can see the flaws in his logic. I'm a logic guy, Vulcan.
I see no logic in this episode being the finale.
Well, it doesn't feel like a finale.
Filler, it would have been a fun filling episode in the middle of the season.
It was not something to end the show on, but it was a happy ending. And it really felt more like a farewell than a finale.
It kind of gives you the feeling there's no season 4 coming. Yeah.
Yeah, this is us telling you we love you and we did something that you wanted, and that's how we're ending the show. And I'm not going to say what it was, but the Bortus character, as cringy as the stuff is with them when they're standing there in their fucking thongs for that opening scene.
Man, that was so awkward.
I was
sitting there like, what the fuck am I watching?
I was so engaged by that scene. I was so engaged by what was going on there. And I loved it later when I don't want to say who says it, but he's like, you know, we had this wonderful thing earlier. He goes, and I think he almost calls it, I think he called it a rape. He's, you know, because that scene is like, that was really rapey. You chasing down your mate and forcing him to the ground against his will.
I didn't know what it was at first. I wasn't sure. Is this like some weird?
It was a renewal of their. It was a renewal of their vows.
It was like, what the
and that
fuck?
he had to recapture. Bortus had to recapture his mate, and that was fucking kind of. It was beyond cringy at points, but I laughed my ass off when the golf clap starts. It's just. They don't move. They're sitting there. It's like one of those scenes from Police Squad, you know, the Naked Gun movies where they stop moving, but the criminal's like looking around like, why is everybody frozen? Then leaves because all the cops are in that freeze frame mode. And so Bortus and his mate are like head to head, and they're sitting there, and everybody's like, it's really happy. And then all of a sudden it goes in the cringe world where they stay in that. Music dies, and it's just everybody kind of like looking around going,
what now?
what do we do now? And then fucking what's his name, the red hair guy, Gordon goes,
I think
he's not sure if he should do it, but he starts golf clapping, and everybody
I love clapping. Scott Grimes and everything he does.
Then it continues to be so fucking cringy because they don't stop. They continue with their heads together, and it's like nobody knows what the fuck is going on, and they're like, "Are we supposed to? Do we go now? What's going on?" I thought that was hilarious, and that was pure comedy. That was pure comedy.
After you're through with that scene, then it's hilarious.
But the payoff later is because, Gordon gets pissed because he was asked to be best man at a wedding, and Bortus steps in and takes it from him, saying, "I can be funny too. I'm very funny on my home world." And it's like, and of course, he's obviously Worf. You know, he's the Worf character. And it's like Worf saying, "I'm very funny." You know, so that, and finally, you know, Gordon saves the day during the wedding. I'm not going to say what happens, what he says, but it's fucking funny. I love Gordon, but Gordon fucking gets mad at Bortus for doing that and brings up,
well,
you know,
who wouldn't? I mean,
because Seth MacFarlane's character is like, you know, well, you know, he says something about it, and he's like, "Are you talking about that thing this morning? That was like rapey," you know? And he's like, I wasn't happy. It was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but that whole naked men chasing each other, that scene was the whole setup for the wedding, because that made Isaac research mating rituals and stuff. That gave Isaac the idea.
And it led to the preview, because we got to see that scene where he walks up to the second in command and asks if they can have a sexual relationship.
Oh God, yeah.
And it was such a fucking funny scene.
I'm not a guy.
And him walking around with that fucking banana. I mean, when he oh my God, this show. The only character I felt was a waste. The C story in this one was that girl that rejoins them and becomes part of the complement on the ship.
That story was weird.
I was like, it was not a very good C story. I didn't think it was worthy of the show. And also the other reason why it felt like a series farewell was because the character from season 1, the cute little girl that was the security officer, came back. And a lot of people don't know why she was let go. The reason why she wasn't believable as that character, that's why she was recast. She was kind of, they weren't mean about it, but they were direct with her, going, "You aren't right for this character. We need a female that's going to be more believable."
Yeah.
You're too cute and sweet. You're too cute and sweet. But the good news is she became Seth MacFarlane's fuck buddy. And from what I hear, they're still together. So
good to know.
Never show age. Well, and that is actually addressed, Monkey Jeebus, on the show and in this farewell finale, because I think it is the series finale. I think we're not going to get a season 4, but there is talks of a movie. And I would like to see like a 2-hour movies get made with the crew every year, a new movie. I like that shit with Psych. They do that with Psych. I love that. They get together and do fucking little movies for the show Psych. Oh my God, dude. The Kalon scene. I knew that was going to happen.
That was amazing.
When Isaac's like, it really is inviting the Prime character. But he's like, should I bring everyone? He says, yeah, sure, bring everyone. The entire fucking planet. The entire species shows up. And he doesn't warn anybody. And I knew that was going to happen the way that happened. It's like, oh my God, they lied. They're invading.
I love the captain's reaction, though. Will somebody please notify headquarters so no one freaks out?
Yeah,
He's
please
like, oh,
notify headquarters that
cleaning up the shit again.
Yeah.
That's great.
That was one of the best moments in the episode, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
But Isaac was the star of the show. I thought he was a great character. His vows during the wedding scene were really sweet.
Yeah.
And what he said when her character realizes his vow to her goes beyond her life.
Yeah.
That he's going to take care of all her family.
I think that's what made her say yes in the first place.
Yeah, that's a deal breaker. We call that a panty dropper. Because any woman to get that kind of a commitment out of any man, it's like no matter what happens,
you have to say yes.
Your children are safe, no matter what.
Oh yeah.
And any guy that can make that kind of, you just increase your chances of getting a yes to 90%, in my opinion. So
that's right. That's right.
Although he's a robot, so he's technically could be hacked. So there's that.
Yeah.
It's not 100% though.
We've been joined by Punisher Warlord is here. Let me see if anybody else popped in because Martin had to go. I'm assuming go to the bathroom. Yeah, I think that's all that's joined since then. Thanks for joining us, man. Punisher Warlord. Restore the Hamadaverse. Laughing my ass off. Right. That ain't happening, buddy. That ain't happening. One of the worst ideas since, basically the Edsel. There's a fucking weird reference. Go look it up. You'll know what I'm talking about. I will just fucking explain it to you. They had this weird fucking idea to design a car that had a grill that looked like a woman's vulva and her vagina. And when it got released to the public that they had done that, nobody bought the fucking car. Nobody bought the car even before they found out. The Edsel is like historically one of the worst selling cars ever manufactured.
Named after, I think, one of Ford's sons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bordas wasn't wanting to leave when Gordon took over. No, he just still stood there. And of course, Gordon saw that and he turned around and says, everybody give Bordas a hand. Great speech. It was funny. One of the
Should
jokes
we talk about the bachelor party?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The bachelorette party was hilarious because they had a simulated version of Isaac that could fucking dance. And he did a strip tease. It was funny as hell. He had little it reminded me of the sex bots from Austin Powers. Had the fucking nipple guns looking things, and tassels came out of the fucking guns.
So
and I fucking was like, oh my God. One of the silliest fucking episodes. It really was really silly. But it really was just, that's all it was. It was a fun episode. I would not call this a great episode. I'd say that it was entertaining. I had fun watching it. It was a fun episode. But
did it need that?
And I know, and I read what you said, Kingsport Cal. I know. Look, a lot of the stuff that Seth does is kind of forced, and I enjoyed his writing when he was the writer on Family Guy early on, as well as on American Dad. Seth actually wrote a line I consider to be one of the best pro-gun lines I've ever heard from a lefty. It's the scene where his daughter in American Dad is like saying, guns kill, guns, people die from guns all the time. He goes, really? Sets his gun down on the table. All right, kill somebody, shoot somebody. Huh? Gun doesn't do anything. That's interesting. And he grabs the gun and puts it back in his holster. And I'm like, that was fucking funny. I mean, that's right up there with Archie Bunker back in the 70s when his daughter, played by Sally Struthers, is like saying that 90% of deaths are caused by guns, which is just absolute bullshit. It was just, I don't even know where they got that fucking number. Her character got that number from. And she's saying this to Archie, and he's like, you know, would it make you happier if it was pushed out a window, little girl? Which means murder's murder. What are you upset about, the murder or the gun? And that's really what the problem in our country is more about the gun and not about the deaths. They don't give a shit. You know, and so that was a great joke in Family Guy. I like Seth MacFarlane's early writing, but he doesn't really write on American Dad or Family Guy anymore.
No,
he's just the voice actor, voice talent.
Yeah.
He has to say over some of the things that his character is to say, and he does give input as an executive producer, but he's not the showrunner either. Yep. You know, and so I think American Dad is less funny now than it used to be since it's moved to TBS. But I still find American Family Guy occasionally funny, but it's fallen into the same dead zone as Simpsons. Simpsons hasn't been funny in 20 years. It was only funny the first 10 fucking years and really hilarious the first 5. Once the original showrunner left the show, that's when Homer became stupid. When he quit the show to move on to, you know, better pastures, the guy that took over for The Simpsons, that's when Homer became, and they started writing his character literally. This is a quote. We would think what a dog would say if they could talk. And that's what Homer Simpson does. And it was the whole thing about dumbing down dads. That it's right around 1990, 93 is when we started seeing, you know, Simpsons and Bundy's show, Married with Children, were the only shows that had dads that were assholes, but they weren't stupid, you know. And after that, you started seeing an overrun of dads who were inept boobs, that if it weren't for the moms or the daughters, they wouldn't know what to do, that they would be lost, that the girls had to save every episode. Whereas The Simpsons, the very first fucking episode of Treehouse of Horror was, you know, the lard boy. Remember that? Homer steals the lard boy's donut, makes it a swimming pool in his living room. And all of the pet boys and all those inanimate characters were struck by magic lightning and came to life. And Lard Boy is terrorizing the neighborhoods looking for his donut. And Marge says, "Oh, for goodness sake, Homer, just give him his donut back. He'll leave us all alone." And Homer goes, "Okay." So he hands the donut back, and Lard Boy lifts it over his head triumphantly and then just begins smashing everything with the donut. And Homer stands there and doesn't even look at Marge. He says this great fucking line. He goes, "Do you ever get tired of being wrong?" She's like, "Yes." That's fucking great writing. That's the first years of The Simpsons, back when it was really written well. And Married with Children is also great fucking series. I always wish that they had like come back, but you know, it's just not going to happen. You know, he became too big a star. They can't afford to have him back.
Do you know what pains me?
What?
Malcolm in the Middle. Because
oh my god, I love that show.
Yeah, the humor, the shenanigans of the kids are awesome. But but the father is another example of that. What you were saying,
the buffoonery. But remember, he is also really the heart of that family.
Yeah, because the
mom. That's why, besides being a buffoon, he still is the heart of the family, and I like that.
Because the mother has anger issues.
She's my god. She's,
well, look at her family.
Very fucking abusive as a parent. She really is. The stuff she did.
Look at her family. Her fucking mother
was abused. But my favorite moment in that show was when the pilot episode, when he's standing on Hal is standing on the newspapers, and she takes clippers to his body hair while the kids are eating breakfast. It was so fucking funny to me. I lost control of myself.
Well, I
started laughing.
Everybody on that show, you had to just it was like a live action Simpsons to a certain extent. You could not be self-conscious. Those writers were going to put you through it. You had to basically come to work and be willing to do whatever idiotic thing they wrote and really embrace it. That is the thing about that show.
Have a good nap, Penny.
Bye,
we'll
Penny.
see you later. And it's probably a good time. The Goldbergs I enjoyed until the cast opened their big mouths about Dad. And I hate woke people, man. And that's his problem, is he's a comedian. And woke people don't like comedians and their spontaneity with their humor.
They don't have a sense of humor.
They have no sense of humor. And when I lost a lot of respect for, she was on Reno 911 and she became the mother on the Goldbergs. She's one of them. I lost a lot of respect for her because she's clearly fucking woke with what she said. So I stopped watching the show when he was basically ousted from the show. And I almost wanted to quit anyway when George Siegel died, because I'm such a big George Siegel fan. I loved him as grandpa. And I don't know. I just it lost a lot of its luster for me. And then that happened with the dad. I forget who was it that plays the dad. I'm gonna look it up real quick because he fucking had some of the best stand-up comedy I've ever seen. Oh, it's gonna make me write cast. Fuck you. There we go. Jeff Garland as Murray. Dropping to his underwear fucking cracked me up because that was my childhood with my dad. Like, if we weren't going to have company or he didn't have to go someplace, he was walking around in his fucking yellow fucking boxers all the time. And I'm so thankful he had a snap on the pee hole thing. Pop your dick out on. Because, man, I was terrified that thing was going to flop out in front of me one day. I'm like, oh my God, walking around in fucking boxers, Dad. So when I started watching the show, I'm like, God damn, that reminds me of my dad. And I was a lot like Adam Goldberg's character, but a lot of us nerds weren't. The nerds that I hung out with, you know, Jim Woodward, Mike Beatty, all those guys, David Gray, we were a different kind of breed. You know what I'm talking about. You were a nerd too, but you were in fights and you didn't lose your fights. You know, bullies would try to fuck with me. And I'm like, oh, you have mistaken me for a different kind of nerd. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. If you continue in this direction, you're going to regret it.
Yeah. Yeah. You had to really, you had to know how to fight. You know, that's not an option. So, you know,
exactly.
Again, people think I'm kidding. You know, when I retire, I will rent myself out as that guy who will just go around smacking people that need it. Because there's a lot of people in this life that need the hand. They do. They just need it. They're begging for it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree with you.
And I'm going to show you guys something real quick. And we got to wrap up.
If you were a 70s or 80s nerd, you learned how to fight. Yeah. It wasn't an option.
Yeah, it's like we were not, because like when you watch The Big Bang Theory, those are geeks, really. Those are geeks. They're not really nerds. Nerds were the guys that were into movie stuff. Geeks were the smart ones. Technically, what Jim and I were, and Mike Beatty too, because we were all science geeks and really good. You know, we knew our shit. We knew our science. We knew. And you would think when you look back at my grades in school, public school, I was a terrible, very dumb person because I got really bad grades. I don't know how I survived public school.
That doesn't say you're dumb, Gerry.
No.
It just doesn't say you were bad at school.
Well, when I graduated and I wanted to go to nursing school, they had to send my transcripts and all my test scores to the Fredericksburg area School of Nursing and to Germanna Community College, because that's where all my classes were going to be, except for the nursing part. And Mrs. Glidden called me into her office, and I was shaking. I was terrified because I was afraid I wasn't smart enough to be in there, because I didn't know how smart I was. I really didn't. I didn't all the way until this happened. I was 26 when I learned that I was smart. And she goes, have you seen your test scores? Because I was like apologizing. Please give me a chance. I want to be in this school so bad. I want to be a nurse. I really want to do this. This is what I've always wanted to do as an EMT, and I want to take care of people. And she goes, calm down. Little white-haired lady. She's tiny. She's only like 5'2", a little taller than you, Anima. Just a little taller than you by 1 inch. And she was telling me to calm down. She goes, haven't you ever seen your test scores in your school? I went, no, that went straight to my dad, and my dad didn't share that information with me. And honestly, I didn't care. I just figured I did bad. She goes, you're in the top 3 percentile of all your students in your school. For your grade, you were number 2. She goes, the person that scored higher than you, it was one person. I said, I know who it is. It was Jim Woodward. Jim was in my class, and he was just slightly smarter than me. And I found that out, and I'm like, holy shit. And the first reaction to that, the grades and everything was like, are you sure you cut my transcripts? I was like, is that somebody else's? She goes, no, these are yours. And I was befuddled by this. But when I left, I was angry. I was very angry. And why would I be angry? Because my dad kept that from me. And I got so angry at my dad because I had such a low self-esteem about who I was intelligence-wise because of my fucking dad. Because I got treated like I was an idiot. I was fucking called dumbass. That's why I love Red Foreman on that 70s show. My dad used to call me dumbass all the time. Whack me in the head. Fucking idiot. You know? I had no idea I was fucking smart, you know, and it's like I'm a straight A student in college. When I hit college, man, I always made the president or dean's list, depending on the school I was at, whether they had a dean or a president. And I got so mad when I went to my dad's apartment and I saw that he had seen in a newspaper that I had hit dean's list. And he had several clippings from newspapers of my being on the president or dean's list. And I got mad at him. I said, you have no fucking right to have that on the TV, on your fucking refrigerator. You know, or when I got published as an artist, the first time I was published, he clipped it and put it, and I'm like, no, take that fucking shit down. I'm the reason that shit happened, not you. You had nothing to do with it. You fought me all the way. You don't get any credit for that shit. So you don't get to put up there and show, I'm so proud of my boy. Fuck you. I shouldn't have done that, but I was angry at my dad for a lot of that stuff. And I was in community college when they told me I was smart. And you immediately dropped out. I've always thought of nerds as more science-based and geeks. I always thought of it the opposite. Geeks being the nerds that were smart. And the way I've always said it is geeks are nerds, but not all nerds are geeks. And but I think really in the long run, because I've heard other people say it this way, because you're geeking out. You know, you're geeking out. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I've always thought of that wrong. And so technically you are right, Wolverine. You are right. Geeks are what I've always thought of as nerds, which is the fans. They're geeking out. And then nerds are geeks who are also smart. And so I kind of was in that gray area in between because I was both. But don't wait. You've watched me make some of my jokes. You know how dumb I can get. And it's always for fun. It's always for fun.
I can't say anything. Look, I'd like to think that I'm more of a geek because I love tech, and in school I was always all about, you know, weird pieces of historical information, little facts, deep diving on subject matter that other people just like. Well, we learned that already. There's no more to learn, and it's like, oh, there's a lot to learn. You can take a lot of lessons out of something like, say, the Civil War, or a lot of lessons out of even World War II. You know, you can't, you know, it isn't just about studying what little they tell you. It's about, you know, showing an interest in a lot of what was affected during that same amount of time. And that's what I got into, you know. So.
No, I get it. By the way, I want to address something. One, my dad actually pulled a gun on me and threatened me. This is like right before I moved out and went to go adulting on my own at 17. Because I twice he knocked the shit out of me, punched me, because he was demanding that I joined the military when I was 17. He says, I'll sign you up. You won't be allowed to be deployed, but you need to go into the military. And I said, fuck that. And fuck you for even suggesting it. And I turned, I don't know what I was thinking. I turned slightly away from him. I saw him coming towards me and I started to turn towards him. And he fucking clocked me right in the head. Hit me right here. Hit me so hard, my head went into the cabinet, blacked both my eyes, and blood started spraying out of my face. He hit me so fucking hard. I saw stars, but he didn't knock me out. He knocked me out before. And I spun around and I leaned back on the counter and I push kicked him because he was on crutches. And I kicked him and his crutches went in the air and he fell on his back like a turtle and couldn't get up. And I hauled ass out of that fucking apartment and went straight to his best friend, Mr. Cody, who I'm still friends with to this day. And he's like, oh my God, he's 78 this year. Anyway, he calmed things down. And then another incident took place again while I was delivering my papers. And he demanded that he wanted to drive me around. And I'm like, I can do this without you. Go collect. And he says, no, I want to drive you because I want to talk to you. And of course, it was again about the military thing. And I opened the door to the car and I said, I'm not going. Fuck that. And I slammed the door on him, went walking into the hallway of this apartment complex. And these were poor people apartments. It was all cinder block, concrete, and hollow steel rails, the handrails. Everything was hollow. And it had this corrugated aluminum style tin mailboxes that were put into a hole in the brick wall. And it was just like every sound, it was a cacophony of the sound when you walk through these hallways. And I heard him coming up behind me with his crutches. And I turned around, I just turned to look at him, and I had this look on my face. You know, what now? What? And as he approached me, he fell forward on his crutches and put his hand out and grabbed me by the throat. I wasn't going to fight him. He grabbed me by the throat, shoved me against those fucking mailboxes, and the sound was nightmarishly loud. My body hitting those mailboxes. And out came that Colt Commander. It was the 4.5-inch barrel version of the Colt Combat, the 45, the 1911. And he pointed it in my gut, and he said a bunch of shit that I basically sum up as what Bill Cosby said his dad said to him, which is, I brought you into this world and I can take you out. And better than that, I can make another one just like you. I love that line. You know, and he did something akin to that. And I just stared at him. And I don't remember to this day what he said to me, but it was in that ballpark. And all I knew is that, okay, my dad's going to fucking shoot me. This is the end. And I'm not going to go out as a pussy. And I just stared him down. And I said these words. I said, what are you going to do now? You always told me don't point a gun unless you're going to use it. And he realized I called his bluff. He never intended on hurting me. And he went backward, put the gun back into his holster, and hobbled back to the car and then drove off. And I finished collecting my newspaper route. And I made really good money on that newspaper route. I helped support that household. But absolutely, man. My dad was fucking angry with me. And he wanted me gone. And once I realized that that was really what was happening here, I fucking moved out. I left. And I went to fake college at William & Mary. And I lived on campus. I had a dorm room. Lived with Martin Cox from, he's from Norfolk, Virginia. And we're still close friends to this day, my fake roommate. When I was in fake college. I lived on the campus dorm at William & Mary at JBT. It's called James Blair Terrace. And I even had a card key to get in, you know.
Crazy. A fake college story.
And the funny part was the RA knew I wasn't really a student. He fucking thought it was hilarious. He's like, yeah, man, I've got no problem with you here, man. That's fucking cool what you're doing. You just like, you got free rent. I got a job so I could pay for food. That was it. It was fucking awesome. I had a great experience being a fake student at William & Mary. And your dad said that to you too? Yeah. And that's Kingsport Cal who said that. Jump on the Batgirl. What? What did he say something?
Apparently,
I'm not
yes.
aware.
Yes, apparently, yes. I just saw a notification that he was defending the movie. He was.
He can't even defend himself for what he's done with Phase 4. He's fucking stepping out there and putting his fucking ass out. Oh, what a dumbass.
Something tells me I smell a lot of Victoria Alonso trying to get him to help the right people over at Warner Brothers. So there is no hope.
I'm telling you, we've already seen this happen when they did that shakeup with Marvel. Remember that big shakeup? And they were, I told you about it. We got wind way before it happened that there was a lunch meeting and everybody at Marvel was going. They're going to be fired because the heads were getting sick of losing money. And so the number 2 guy at Marvel jumped ship. And where did he go? He went to DC to do the same shit he was doing over there at Marvel. He was doing it. And then the head of Marvel Comics, he got fired. And they brought in that guy that got the woke attacked him, tried to cancel him because he had gone under an Asian name when he was writing certain comics about Japanese and shit. So, breaking news. Holy shit. Feige was consulting Batgirl directors as did Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright? Really? That's embarrassing. If you put out a crap film and the studio doesn't want to release it, and a studio that would like to release movies, they want to release movies. It's not like they don't want to, they're against releasing. They're tired of releasing crap. That's all it is. So I'm going to go ahead and go through my thank yous. I want to thank, of course, our good friend John, who's gone now, Das Wolfen. He left. I mean, he's not dead. He's still alive, but he had to go do stuff. Our good friend D-Bud, Martin, Marcos A. Penny, of course, she's taking her nap. She was taking care of the baby this morning. It wore her out. Of course, the lovely Sherry. Wajid Liki Ashrafi. Rizvi. I fucking hate that last name. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm so sorry. Wolverine 626. Well, I like saying their full names. It's a way of recognizing people. Wolverine 626, Kingsport Cal, Real Wade Nation, AF Watcher 88, Michael Moncrief, Keith's brother. I've met Michael. I met him at Keith's birthday. Dave Bob. Then, of course, Dr. Dragon. Darius Munchausen, the best version of Munchausen. Bill Barkley. Even though Bill and I didn't agree today, it's okay. We're still friends, man. It doesn't matter. Don't ever think that I'm mad at a person for not agreeing with what I'm saying. Chris from Moonlight Productions. Chris, the good friend. Personal friend. Anima Confusa, she's okay.
Thanks.
And again, I only shit on people I like. Monkey Jeebus, Sydney Meadows, Shinatsky. I'm keeping an eye on you, Shinatsky. Of course, Polly from Latino Slant was here. Script Doctor was here. Osa Fresh 1994. The Question, Brightest Day. It's Courtney's Fellowship of Oddballs, who I just simply call Courtney because you've got too long of a fucking name, Courtney. Shorten it. Dennis McCullough, Fletcher Williams, War Monkey, one of my 2 favorite monkeys, CJ Batpunk, Punisher Warlord, and Magitech Mags. Thanks for being here, Magitech. I did not see you jump in. Glad you're here. Love all you guys. Do the show because you guys, a bunch of you bailed on me. Fuck you. Fuck you for bailing. I'm really mad. We were in the 30s and then it's down to 10 now. Come on, man. Where's your stick-to-itiveness?
We're past the 2-hour mark, though, so.
I'm just glad you guys showed up at all. I really am. I think we'll get some good views on this. I like making sure that we're feeding the algorithm. Speaking of the algorithm, please make sure to like and subscribe if you aren't already. I want to thank Kingsport Cal for becoming a member today, as I recall seeing that. Let me look back. I think I saw that. Man, you guys talk a lot. I'm having to scroll a lot to get to where I went. Need to go. I am pretty certain I saw you join today, Kingsport Cal.
He did.
There it is. Yep, new member. There it is, right here, right there. Amen to that. And we are trying to get to the point where we can get advertisers. And I think we're close to it, if not already there. I think we've got the numbers to start getting low-level advertisers. We're making a little money off of YouTube, not very much. They don't pay. They don't pay a lot, but I don't blame them. You know, I don't want money from YouTube. I really want to get advertisers, and there's other things that I'm working on, which is I want to start doing a show that's for the Patreon. And if you want to join the Patreon, it is down below in the description. I've gotten 2 new members on the Patreon account. Oddly, not our Patreon account for the show, but my personal Patreon for art. And I'm like, no, join the one for the show. Because, you know, all you're going to get is a thank you from me on the other one. Join this one. The Batgirl directors make it sound like someone died. I know. Someone did die. Their movie.
Well, here's the thing. These guys have had a little bit of bad luck. And I totally get what they're attempting to do. But this was not a good film writing-wise. Because that's the other thing that you got to remember. Most people, when they're just starting out, nowadays, like what these guys are doing, will usually get the opportunity to write. That script was not written by them. To me, if all you had to do was direct and the decision what it was, I say, look, you spent some time, but everybody got paid. So while, you know, you can't release it, I look at it this way. If Kevin Feige is going to open his mouth about these guys, hire him. See what you can do. You know, these guys already worked on Ms. Marvel. And it turns out some of the episodes that they did were some of the ones that were refilmed. These guys just have a lot of bad luck. Okay, eventually your luck's going to turn around. You'll be able to do something, and that's fine. But this Batgirl movie was completely useless. Once you change the whole thing about Ezra Miller, there is no point to the movie. That's the reason why I'm saying, I'd say you're maybe 5 years away, 6 years away from having this thing dumped on HBO Max. That's all. That's it. So don't stress. You know, this is all being taken care of as we speak. And 5 years from now, we'll be in a completely different place. And you'll be able to see what this movie was. So I feel bad for those guys, but I also feel bad for Michael Keaton. I feel bad for Leslie Grace. I feel bad for all of the actors. I feel bad for the people that made the costumes, built the sets, all that stuff. But what you had was a bad script. And there were bad reasons why this script was put together. That's all. It was an ill-conceived idea. Happens. Especially when you have idiots like the ones that were in charge at Warner Brothers.
Now, I'm going to share this link with you guys. This is our page. And I'm getting with someone right now that's supposed to help me make this page better so we can start doing streams just on it. And I'm putting it in the chat. If you are ever interested in that, there you go. There will be content coming to this page. Once a week, I will be doing a show that is directly for only people on the Patreon account. And that's a picture of my desk right there, my old desk back when I lived with Travis. My cool spinner model kit, my BB-8, my old drawing screen right there over on the right behind the logo. That's the one that was destroyed in the fire. That was my expensive tablet. And that is my old 1984 cup. Huge fucking coffee cup. I like drinking man-sized cups of coffee. So, and there you go. That's our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/pop culture minefield. And even if you don't want to join, just go check it out, you know, and you'll see that we're going to start doing things over there. talking to, directly with you guys, doing a show similar to what I do here, but it's going to be just for the audience. Poor Keaton. And I'm also going to allow access to some of our guests. I'm going to keep them for an extra 10, maybe 20 minutes where they can, a pre-show would be done there. Well, we just sort of talk to them for a few minutes, and then everybody that watches it over there or that can watch it, review it there, will be able to watch us finish the show live over here. And the way I figured out of doing that to where we don't have to leave the studio and come back in is I'm going to set up my OBS to broadcast us in the studio onto the Patreon account. And then in that stream, and then start the stream through StreamYard. And that way we never have to leave the studio. I pay attention to these videos I watch. I watch a lot of videos. So, but drink man size. Goddamn right.
I'm a girl when I do that.
I drink, I get the big cans of Guinness draft in the can. My God, man, they're so good. I love Guinness Stout. I start missing it too much, then I go and I buy me some, and then I'll drink. It's the only time you'll ever catch me drinking is Guinness. Occasionally I have a bottle of wine with somebody, but I'm a Guinness drinker. I like drinking Guinness. Yeah, poor Keaton, but we still have him as Adrian Toombs. Of course, we may still end up with Michael Keaton because there has to be some sort of sense of obligation to promises made to him by Warner, even though those people are gone now, not in charge. That doesn't mean that some obligation shouldn't be taken up. And Warner, they owe him something for, otherwise, even Zaslav lied to him because technically that was a promise from Warner Brothers to him.
Well, that's the reason why Zaslav was storming through the halls. Okay, that's the reason why that guy will do that. Why he will have those days where you don't want to open up your door because the boss is walking down the hall mad as anything. Okay, look, there's a way around a lot of these problems. It's going to take time to fix a lot of it, but there's a way around it. And if Michael Keaton is really willing to give Zaslav and his people time, I still think they should just go ahead and offer him Batman Beyond and go from there. Because then that takes care of two issues. There's Michael Keaton being upset because he had spent all that time working on a movie that's not going to be seen. But on top of that, he doesn't like wearing the costume. Batman Beyond will offer him the opportunity to not have to put the costume on. So he'll just be Old Man Wayne. And that works. That works for a lot. Look, there are a lot of people that would be good with that. Then you got those people that think that you're going to put a guy in his 70s in a costume and make him look like he did back when he was way younger.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
So,
and absolutely, you are right, Kingsport Cal. I'm always thinking outside the box. That's why I did really well in marketing. Even though I have no education in marketing, I worked for three companies that were marketing related, including an ad agency. And I would be involved in those meetings because I always think outside the box, and I have a mind for marketing. Hey, the Marshal joined us. Hey, the Marshal, what's up, buddy?
Late as always. Hi, buddy. And now the sex bots will show up. They always do when he comes.
I do.
Why
I like
is
hot
that?
toys. I have I have the
Creation
hot
sex
toys.
bots.
I have the Hot Toys Dark Knight with Christian Bale. I love those things. They're all in storage, and I'm hoping to get those back. I hope HBO Max becomes Warner Brothers next year when it combines with Discovery. That's what it looks like they're heading to, and they may do away with HBO Max as a name. It'll be the same streaming. You won't have to unsubscribe, I'm assuming. That would be stupid. You'd want to keep the same subscriber. They'll just rebrand it with something that it involves Discovery. So, and if they change it, it needs to have Warner somewhere in its name, because it was dumb calling it HBO Max. Really fucking dumb.
Let me put out one more thing that'll get you guys spinning a little bit. And this might be a little divisive.
What is this? What did you just say? who's the hack with
He's
Keith
trolling me or trying to troll me.
My God, man.
There's still the distinct possibility that they could make a decision to not really move forward with a sequel to the Batman. There is still that distinct possibility they can make that decision. I'm not saying they're going to, but they could still do that because you're dealing with a filmmaker who was given an actor that he didn't want. Okay, Robert Pattinson was not the first choice.
Yeah, he was forced on him. Yep.
Yeah, he was forced on him. What you had was
by the folks at Warner,
who are now fired.
They're all gone. Everybody at the clown table that forced him on him.
Now, for a lot of you out there, you're probably thinking, well, who did he want as Batman? He wanted somebody who actually is a comic book fan. Actor Nicholas Hoult, who was Beast in a lot of the newer.
But I was really
films.
against even that because we all wanted Ben Affleck's Batman.
True. And what we were being
the only reason
told,
we didn't get him is because he did not see eye to eye with Matt.
Yeah. Well, you see, we were being told that things were a certain way, and a lot of us believed it. And it turns out
there's so much lying from the studio.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'm grateful about with Zaslav. That dude's a straight shooter.
Yeah. Again, as I said earlier,
he's not going to bullshit us.
He's going to tell you exactly what he's going to do, and he's not going to waver from it because he's got no reason to lie. And it's not so much that it's all about honesty. It's just like, look, I'm a straight shooter. I will tell you what I need to have done. He wants to be clear. So to those people who even don't like him, you got to respect the fact that he's clear. He has a vision. He has a way that he wants to go. Oh, and one more thing, because I had to have this reiterated to me. You guys do realize that AT&T is still a part of all this.
Yeah, AT&T owns Warner Brothers. Yeah.
Yeah, they are still 70% in this venture. So while AT&T may not have had
they're the ones who write the check for David Zaslav.
That's right. Zaslav basically is getting paid to basically be an a-hole, a dick.
Yep. And he brought in Alan Horn because he doesn't understand the nature of filmmaking and studio work. So there you go.
Hey, Bill,
once
that Gotham
again,
PD series, I hope you weren't really attached to that.
Yeah, it's not happening. Here you go. I want to show this. Season finale felt more like a farewell. It was fun. It was entertaining. It was not great. I have a lot of problems with Seth's writing this season. A lot of logic issues, but it was a fun show. I laughed my butt off at a lot of it. It was very entertaining, but I would not refer to this as a good Star Trek season. This would be not a very good Star Trek season.
Still better than
Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, still better than all of CBS Trek.
Yeah. But there is one episode of Strange New Worlds that was written by Bill that worked with our good friend Cameron Pasha. That was the best episode of the season. It was one about the child that was going to be taken to a chair and would power their world. That's a crazy fucking episode. And I thought it was brilliant the way it was written. And I so much so that I actually went to see who wrote it. And I saw, oh my God, this is a real sci-fi writer. This guy knows science fiction. Holy crap, they hired somebody that knows that, and they got one great episode.
Which one
that whole
was it?
Season. You know, what was that? I missed that last one. What did he say?
Which episode?
Strange New Worlds. I just described it to you. I don't remember the name. It's the one with the child that needs to be put in a chair. Yeah.
Yeah, I dropped out after episode 4 or so.
I'm still hesitant, but I do trust Robert Meyer Burnett's opinion. He's a sharp dude. Both Keith and I
trust my twin brother Robert Meyer Burnett.
So he is saying that Picard season 3 is a complete change up, that it's going back to good Star Trek, and I'm going to trust him. Doesn't mean that I don't feel like, I mean, the minute I see stupid, I'm gone. You know, I'm gone. You know, if fucking Q doesn't recognize that that's not really his Picard, but he turns him into his Picard, I'm out. if you're going to continue having Q in the show, that has to be fucking addressed, that he's not the original Picard. And he should know that. But anyway, welcome to the end of the show, Peter Venkman Fansite. You showed up right at the end.
I would like to address something.
I cannot end this show. I swear to God. You and Keith. Go ahead.
We'll go right into TGIF. It's fine.
Afro-Latin people like me who are Latin, we have Latin.
Oh, I thought you were going to say stupid.
African genetic mix-up. So it's basically you can be 100% black, but you have lived all your life, or your family could be from Latin country origin. So the fact that this girl is Dominican is factually correct. She is Afro-Latin.
That's interesting. Can I end the show now?
Maybe.
Boss asking for permission.
Maybe.
Great. No, we
I want to thank my
Gerry.
panel. Martin, get back on here because we're saying bye. I want to thank Martin for being here and managing the chat. Thank you, Keith, for dropping in. Thank you, Anna, for dropping in too. It was really nice. Did anybody else join us? I can't remember. Anybody else join us during the show? I don't think they did. I think
I think
just
as far
us.
as on camera here, it's always just been you and the rest of us.
Okay. All right. So is an homage to Ursula Le Guin. Yeah, it could be. I don't know. I'll take your word on that one. But with that, as Andre would say, this is the end.
The end of the endless.
I wish I wouldn't get copyright stricken. I play that at the end.
Right.
The Doors. But this has been Morning Coffee with Gerry and friends today. And you will see us again later this afternoon in about an hour and a half. That's why I want to end it at 2 hours, because it gives me more time to do what I got to fucking do. You guys fucking gank me and fucking keep me here. God damn.
And what is that you do?
Look, I don't want to complain, but... Yeah, the Doors.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
Thank you.
You guys can go now. Have a good day.